And we're live. Hello and welcome to this most important episode of HexTherapy.live. I'm your host, ALLin. And today we're going to be going over some of I gotta fix my mic. Here we go. There we go. How's that? Can the chat hear me? And we're live. Awesome. So today we are going to be talking about the $27.5 million worth of corruption that I see by the SENS Foundation board. And, we're going to review everything that I know as, a third party in this matter. I don't speak for Richard Hart or Aubrey de Grey. However, they have been on my show. And, so I think people today are going to learn about this corruption. And I think that this is one of the most important issues in the world that I can stand for, is to save billions of years of human lives by advancing medical research to improve longevity, to improve people's health span. And so we're going to find out who are these bad actors on the board of directors at SENS Foundation. We're going to review the tweet storm that happened between myself and between the SENS Foundation account, and see that there are hundreds of donors and thousands of Hexicans that are standing together here in order to demand that the board, resign and put Aubrey back in charge. This is a community of people who has recently set a legal precedent in the United States. So the Hex community has set a legal record because we are the first community to sue somebody and serve them their papers on Twitter. A billionaire, no less, for not listing Hex correctly on their website, right? That's market manipulation. So we've currently got a $200 billion lawsuit going with CZ of Binance, who has been served by a US judge on Twitter for the first time in American history. So imagine if somebody's just gatekeeping Hex, imagine what kind of support there's going to be when y'all have stolen $27.5 million and are using it not how our community intended it to be used. And so with that being said, I am going to go ahead and play the intro, and then we'll get started. Welcome.
It's from ALLin of HexTherapy.live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research. There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
So we'll go through several topics here just to make sure that everybody is on the same page and to make sure that everybody gets the facts that they need about the SENS case of corruption among the board of directors, and how Aubrey de Grey, the founder of the SENS Foundation, who the Hex community intended the money that we donated to be spent by, Aubrey has not been in control. Aubrey was fired yesterday by the board of directors. There is so much public evidence out there that shows that the board of directors is in the wrong. That's one of the things that we'll review today. First, a note about some of the terminology. So when we talk about what is a conflict of interest, I come from a scientific background, and I worked for 7 years as a neuroscientist, 7 years as a mental health therapist after that. And now I'm retired due to Hex. And so I have all the time in the world that the world will give me to make content and to tell the truth as a new form of broadcaster that exists and is a product of the Hex ecosystem, which is something that is better than Bitcoin and gives really gives people their financial freedom. So people such as myself and thousands of people who watch this show, so that they are allowed to get their time back and are allowed to pursue what they find meaningful in life. Many of us, donated $27.5 million because we believe in longevity research and that would be one way that the world can be a better place. However, the Sense Foundation has failed to deploy those funds, and it's been 9 months now since the Pulse sacrifice. And so I am super fired up, because again, this is, in my opinion, the most important issue that I can be working on. And I know many others are supporting and are willing to step forward and do whatever it takes to do the right thing and to make sure that this corruption does not go unnoticed. The board, will show that their Twitter account has been spreading misinformation, bullying, really bad look for the board of directors. And it was rumored today that multiple members of the board of directors might resign. And I expect no less than all of the board of directors to resign as Aubrey is reinstated, because because of the lies and the corruption that's occurred. And those aren't just words. We're going to get into the facts of everything. But to start off, what is a conflict of interest? So I made a triple entendre pun once about how some things in Hex are a conflict of interest and some things aren't. Well, so interest is not just the yield that you earn on something. A conflict of interest in scientific terms means that whether it's publicly known or not, somebody is standing to profit from interfering with what they would normally do. So it's having twisted incentives. And scientists and other public personalities are required in some fields to do conflict of interest forms and disclosures as a part of their auditing process. However, not everybody reports everything. This is one of the areas where, we might uncover that there are more specific conflicts of interest than we can infer from the facts and the questions that we're asking about the $27.5 million that, in my opinion, has been stolen from its own donor intent, from the founder of the organization that we gave it to. And so I think that's why we're going to take things very seriously. So that's a note on what a conflict of interest is. And we'll see, I think the more and more we dig into these board members, the more we're going to find out. The ones that resign, maybe won't be of as much interest to us, but this is, in my opinion, the most important thing a broadcaster can do is to tell the truth, to investigate things. This is part of how the free world has checks and balances on itself. The media, before it was bought up by billionaires, it was part of the checks and balances system, just like the executive and the judicial and the legislative branches. You also had the branch of newspapers and the court of public opinion and investigative journalists, that have really fallen by the wayside ever since technology disrupted news. And, organizations don't get the same ad dollars that they used to for investigating stories. And so, again, there has only been a brief period in human history where maybe the incentives changed when it came to broadcasting. However, I think now the incentives have changed again, because those of us in Hex, we have over 100 Hex streamers that we included in my online conference for the Hex community. So the board of directors, I think, has no idea who they're going up against. And I think that they'll find out what kind of a community they are attempting to steal from. And I think that they will quickly backtrack as soon as they figure out the weight of the social influence, financial, legal influence that our community has. My guess, and like, I think we also have a lot of brilliant people who are going to take strategic thinking into account. For example, I am working with the Methuselah Foundation and Aubrey de Grey so that we can set up funding mechanisms to go around the SENS board of directors that has been corrupted. The reason I'm doing this is because I understand game theory and psychology and human incentives. I have served on a national not-for-profit board of directors for 3 years before. I was in charge of several initiatives. I know how corporate politics works to some extent, and definitely board politics. So I know that one of the reasons why Jim O'Neill, the CEO who already left SENS Foundation, and all the people that he lied to and influenced, I think that they may have had some intention to slow down the research that is happening in the longevity space so that their own startups and friends in Silicon Valley could catch up with more short-term visions that they want to monetize. And so when they saw this $27 million come in, I think they wanted everybody to think that they were trying to steal it, but really they wanted to tie it up in legal proceedings for years, or take some kind of other, action to interfere with Aubrey's influence, because Aubrey is an altruistic visionary. I've compared Aubrey to the origin address in Hex, in that he has built up years and years of credibility. And that's one of the things that we'll take a look at as well. So a lot of developments here in this story. And another note just about how I'll be covering this. Of course, I'll be covering it more than just today. But so, for example, when we read through the tweets that I made, which are freaking fire, and just kind of look at some of the intellectual points that are being made, you might see words like, something that says that the board was acting illegally. Now, why do I choose to use the word illegally? Because laymen can understand that word. And I've been on a kick recently, maybe about not being intellectually elitist, right? And so, and actually, like I did that when I was working for 7 years with individuals with substance abuse disorders who were on Medicaid and who are just, any like part of the population that you want to communicate with, you want them to be able to understand you, right? And scientists do a really bad job of being broadcasters and of communicating in general with the public, which is why it's not as popular as it should be. People funding longevity research, people understanding scientific breakthroughs. We saw that in Game Theory Gang on Tuesday this week. That episode, I talked about a breakthrough in sleep technology that doesn't get covered. We just found out, that Philips discontinued the device. It's like because their patent ran out. And now, I've got people in the Hex community. Another example of how strong this community is. I already have somebody who's an an engineer who has 20 years of experience in the space, reaching out to me, talking about, my vision to produce these devices that, make the world a better place by actually improving people's lives substantially. So when I talk about things, if I say the word illegal, maybe I mean like tortious, right? Like that, like a tort, that's a legal term, right? And so, but I think you'll know what I mean. And, that's just a note on the fact that I value getting the message out to more people, above really the intellectual elitism. They would say like, this is, is it illegal or is it tortious? Like the lawyers are going to handle that. And like internally we can use the correct language, but in the end, I think it kind of loses some of its ability to be understood by the general public if we're jumping into things like tortious. However, this audience is super rare because I haven't sold you all out. I don't accept advertisements. I don't monetize my audience at all. Like, I'm getting paid from crypto. I'm retired. I don't need your money. And so we've got a bunch of like super smart, like, kind-hearted people here who, like I said, are engineers, psychologists, like thought leaders, people who build things, many millionaires who are going to be continuing probably to give, as I am, to longevity research, just not through the Sense Foundation for now until Aubrey gets put back in charge. So as I was starting to say, I am going to be working with the Methuselah Foundation this week to generate a separate address for Aubrey's use. And, that will allow people who have been getting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Hedron airdrop, from Hex going up 200,000% in the past 2 years. All the other like money that we're getting in crypto right now, being on the cutting edge, Pulse, PulseX, all these sources of really mad gains. For me, I want to keep giving now. And, I started to give the example of how one of the intentions I could see the board having, or Jim O'Neill before he was ousted, right? And how he had built up the misinformation within the organization. I think, I think that it's very possible that they could have had the intention of just slowing down or stopping the $27 million from being used immediately. It's already been 9 months that have passed. And so for me, I'm willing to give now directly to Aubrey, go around the board, go around the Sense Foundation for now, and we can work through Methuselah. And that will, that'll also send a message to the board of directors to show them that that we're routing around them, that we're serious about not stopping the research that needs to happen in order to save billions of years of humans' lives. The type of long-term tip of the spear research that Aubrey is known for and has such a long track record of promoting and funding, this is essential. There are billions of years of human lives that are going to be lost due to what this board has done. And this is so, egregious and serious. I think they really need to hear from us, and they really need to understand what's at stake. Otherwise, I don't think that they would be acting this way, especially as public figures in their own companies. And so let's figure out what they're up to and what's been going on. So first off, I will let me go through some of the popular tweets that I've made here to bring attention to this serious issue. Okay, and some of the settings have changed here on StreamYard. Now that this is how lots of shows present things. You see here. I'm going to share this screen. Hit the like and subscribe button, and thanks for being here, everybody. Leave a comment if you're watching on the replay. Normally we have thousands of people watching on the replay. Let's see here. Awesome. Okay, so this was the original board of, well, the board of directors and the Sense Foundation. This is what they had originally said, that they were announcing that Dr. Aubrey de Grey was being fired. And, you know, in this, you know, if we go, StreamYard really isn't working how it normally does. Yeah, it's a privacy thing. We love our privacy in crypto. That's okay. I'll just keep talking and I'll add this as we go through. There we go. So the part I'm going to point out here is that they acknowledged that the last witch hunt that they went on came back negative, right? So here they say, they finally admit after 5 months of allowing misinformation to be out there that they caused, they finally admit Dr. de Grey is not a sexual predator, which is what they had accused him of, obviously, because they started an investigation into 2 comments he made to women 8 to 10 years ago, right? And I've already gone down this rabbit hole. I've read both sides on Facebook. I read the entire report from an independent investigator who looked into everything. And, you know, and so that report came back more or less exonerating Aubrey and finding that, you know, what Jim O'Neill had tried to convince everybody of, you know, that wasn't true, that that he had lied, basically. I mean, the investigation didn't say that he lied, but that's what we know. And we also know that when he lied to the board of directors, and even when he lied to one of the people that came forward, you know, that those people, including the woman who came forward, have since publicly said that he lied to them about that, about the fact that there were other people out there who had been wronged. That was untrue. He made that up because Aubrey was firing Jim O'Neill due to his poor performance as CEO. And so, you know, whether, you know, the board knows this or not, like that, I mean, they had to have known all that, right? So, unless they can prove otherwise, and a lot of these people are public figures, I don't think that they would want to go through the court of public opinion, you know. But I mean, yeah, it's you know, and in Silicon Valley, like, you know, in corporate espionage and all this kind of stuff, like, I understand that some of this stuff like does fly from time to time, right? Like this is business as usual. But I'm sorry, you came across like the wrong people to mess with. And this, you know, so the types of bullying and the scrolling through different reasons to fire him, when your first reason didn't come up as legitimate and should have led to the entire board being removed because they got this wrong, because they damaged this man's reputation, because they, whether you know it or not, if you're, if you're conspiring with somebody or you're just a pawn for them to slow down medical research, like, you have billions of years of human lives that could have been saved with these last 9 months and that $27 million. Like, you have all those billions of years of human lives. Like, that's on you. And so no wonder it's rumored that, all these people are gonna resign, and it's critical that they do, because the Hex community will hold them accountable. And it's only a matter of time until more facts get dug up, but everything that we're covering here, in this 1 to 2 hour program is enough for you to form your opinion. It's enough for you to be outraged. Look, I will never advocate for any type of violence. Okay. That's not how you deal with these types of things. I think the most effective way to deal with these types of things is, politically, right? Use the same corporate politics that they're trying to use, and the court of public opinion. We got 100 YouTube streamers who are all part of the Hex community. We've got plenty of people who have become millionaires, and now this is what they care about, is extending the health span of every human on Earth, and wiping out the corruption that's occurring in Silicon Valley, that's occurring with the SENS Foundation board, the whatever you want to call it, tortious or illegal as a lay term, like, their actions are morally wrong and they need to step down. So, if we have to expose these people, like, we will, like I said, and we'll go through the list of board of directors and we'll see who they are and what companies they work for, and start to dig just a little bit this week, and then next week we can go further and further and further into understanding how this could have happened until this issue is resolved, right? Until Aubrey's back in control of our $27 million and the board has been turned over. Somebody's saying let's fork sentence. So Aubrey, as I've observed him speaking at the Hex conference and in other capacities, I think it's pretty clear that he wants his foundation that he founded back. And that's what's going to happen, in my opinion. Right now, this week, we're going to have the ability for people to fund what Aubrey thinks needs to be funded now. We're going to be able to do that through the Methuselah Foundation, which is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization that is not corrupted, and Aubrey helped co-found the Methuselah Foundation, in fact. So he has a special status there, and that's something that we'll be using to make sure that people in the Hex community, such as myself, who will be giving thousands of dollars to the cause of making sure that the longevity research continues now, and that if that was their intent to stop the progress, that is immediately reversed. Then we'll go to work on dealing with them, right? Or I guess these are two things that are happening side by side, because I'm dedicated to this. This is exactly the type of fight that, I would say I'm perfectly prepared for in my life. Like the universe somehow put me into the perfect position to, address this as a broadcaster and as a mad scientist and in all these capacities. Jimrat Crypto, what's up? Hey, Maddie, great to hear you. Nice jacket, Swaggy. Hey, thanks so much, man. I got it 80% off at Express. When I talk about sudden wealth syndrome, which thousands of Hexicans have from being turned into millionaires with just a couple $1,000 investment in a couple of years ago. Everybody is going to have their own ways to stay grounded. For me, it's continuing the long-term friendships that I've built throughout my life. That's super important to me, staying grounded. And then also doing like things that I used to, like saving money on clothing and just like really getting excited about an 80% off deal for dress clothes and stuff. Obviously now I don't need to, worry about money as much, but it still makes me feel like myself when I do things like find dress clothing for 80% off. And then you'll also notice I have a Pulse necklace here that I got from Shapeways this was like $40. Not a $1 million or not a $200,000 one like Richard's. And then I've got the original logo for Maddie ALLin here, shirt, one of one. Anyway, great to see other Hex YouTubers who are popular and having an influence and care about longevity research. It's great to have you in the house because that's going to get our message out and, maybe scare this board into acting right. Yeah, let's do a stream together and bring more attention to this cause and to the other ways that, we can help Aubrey and help people live better, longer lives. Bit Finesse, you rock. I don't even have to read your comment before showing it on the screen. And what do you got here? We're all in Hex and Richard Hart products to delete middlemen. Thank you, Maddie, for your efforts in keeping the line open between us and Aubrey. The Hex community can now continue to build around middlemen. That's right. And around corrupt boards that will be replaced very soon. Yeah, Rob O is saying the Sen's board of directors' actions have been nothing short of egregious and deceitful. That's right. Yeah, and they're responsible in the court of public opinion. Yeah, I think it's possible that Richard will do another sack phase. And he's a fan of Aubrey. And also, the anonymous $10 million donor signed something on the blockchain saying that their donor intent was to fund Aubrey and that doesn't apply to how the board has been treating him. So creating major proof, right? There's so much proof in this situation. It's shocking. That may be the solution. Our goals right now are to get the board members to resign, set the record straight publicly about Aubrey, continue the donations from people like me. I got an airdrop from Hedron that I wasn't expecting, and I sold some of it so that I could send the USDC to Aubrey. I've committed to doing $5,000 right now. And then when my Hex stakes come out every year, as Hex continues to go along, I intend to donate thousands more. I hope to raise millions. I actually, I have a NFT program I'm getting ready to announce that will be not for profit. It will be to reward people who have donated to an address that's controlled by Aubrey and not the Sons Foundation. And I'm super excited. Like that's, I've been really inspired in the past few days to work on that and to get that so that hopefully it'll be out by this time next week or much sooner. We're going to leverage the power of this entire community and of the entire crypto space to expose these corrupt board of directors and to make sure that humans can live longer, healthier lives. Great. Can we just buy the Sons Foundation and give it back? I don't think we want to reward bad behavior, and so we will we'll take other means. I didn't know that most 501c3 entities are controlled by a corrupt government. They're not getting this one. I can tell you that much. The number, like really, the number, it's impressive. Hex is not liked by the general public yet because they don't know about it because it's like been gatekept. But the people who have made their way into Hex are like super impressive people. Tons and tons and tons of ex-military, high-flying lawyers, psychologists, regular people too, of course. We have a lot of talent on our bench. And, you know, most corporate espionage people, they have no idea what they'd be walking into in our community in terms of our ability to respond nonviolently and effectively. You know, if you want to stall medical research because you're part of the corrupt SENS board and you know you want to waste billions of human lives, you know, of the years that would be saved by this research, you know, if you want to do that, I mean, I could really see Hexicans like doing creative things to bring awareness to that issue. And we want to be in the news. Like we want to have causes to fight for. And we're already staked with Aubrey in the sense that we gave $27.5 million. So it's like, I would predict that Hexicans will get creative, you know, whether that means, yeah. And I'm not even going to show the messages. That's a warning, man, about don't ever talk about violence in this chat. Please, don't even insinuate it. So, you know, an example of a non-violent way to communicate would be, you know, this is America. We have free speech. You know, you take out a billboard next to the board members' corporation where they work, next to their home, wherever it is. You make sure that everybody in that person's life knows that what they did was wrong, right? You just expose the lies. You just, you know, bring attention to the issue. And you know, especially people who are corrupt, like do not like the spotlight on them, right? Because then they lose their superpower of going on to scam the next person, going on to do the next corrupt thing. And it, you know, people who watch this show, they know that that I don't believe really most people who do evil things are evil. I think just their environment has their people, places, and things that have influenced them. And so we're going to make people, places, and things, you know, that can influence people in the right way, in a positive way. And we're going to put a spotlight on people who have acted in a greedy self-interest. You know, it's time to update your worldview, people. Hex allows you to exit the corrupt fiat system that is corrupting the people in power. at all levels, including the Sens Foundation board. And so there's a new alternative, and that is Hex, that rewards people for long-term thinking. We're all time locked for 5, 10, and 15 years. So we're going to be here fighting the good fight. So if we have to take a billboard out, you know, I already know the cost of a billboard is like, you know, it's in between like $2,000 and like $15,000. Like that's it. What else? Oh, like people in the Hex community have also figured out how to do like mass mailing campaigns. So, you know, you could mail information to people to let them know the good and the bad of what's going on in this situation. You know, I think we found it was 35 cents per letter to get like super high quality 3-page mailer to any zip code in the country. Like there's a website, I click on it, I fill out a form, and it generates that. Like there's companies that do this, that the Hex community has like identified, right? And so we've already had national campaign letters go out, right? So, you know, what happens when the entire, you know, zip code of Silicon Valley gets to find out about this corrupt, you know, board? Of course they're going to step down. Of course they're going to step down. It depends how far they want to take it. Because I've got thousands of dollars I don't know what to do with. Like I'm a multimillionaire from Hex, and like I have enough thousands of dollars to do all the things I just said by myself. Like, and then we've got, you know, 1,000 other people who care about the same thing. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So, let's see. Thanks for the $5 super chat, Bid Moon. Just got here. Quick recap: the charity stole the money. Well, it's even worse. They got the money and then they used their premeditated plan to create false allegations of sexual misconduct by the founder, Aubrey de Grey, and an external investigation has shown that that was false. Even on the surface, making 2 comments 8 to 10 years ago are the extent of the complaints. So when that didn't work, and that's the page that we got pulled up now, when that didn't work, then the board decided, even though they had wrecked his reputation and didn't say anything for 5 months, to exonerate it. It's 5 months since the report came back. You know, so now, as of yesterday, when they fired him from his like partial role as a research consultant, now they've linked this this contract that they made him sign. And now they want to talk about that. Why didn't he get a substance abuse evaluation? And why did he speak publicly about this? These are the reasons why he was fired. Because he started to expose their corruption by just talking about what happened publicly at the Hex conference in Las Vegas that I hosted about 2.5 weeks ago. Well, it was exactly 2 weeks ago. So they didn't like that. They said that it violated an agreement that they had Aubrey sign, which is evidence, in my opinion, that they had premeditated having other reasons to scroll through to fire him. What's up, Max? Thanks for being here. What's up, D Biggie? Dr. DeGray stepped up and spoke well of Hex publicly when no one else would, even before Richard raised a dime. Respect. So the Sens Foundation has publicly posted evidence that leads the public, including myself, to believe that they are corrupt. This is not like allegations that I'm making. It's like facts. So I'm going to click on this. And this is a private contract that I can't believe that they made public, where they're talking about, Dr. DeGray should have done a substance abuse assessment. Look, I have 7 years conducting substance abuse assessments because that was my line of work. And I specialized in court-ordered treatments. And so I've seen hundreds of these cases come through, and the board has not. And that's why they don't realize how indemnifying this is, and how they're just proving their own corruption, because this is something that if you identified an issue about an employee, you would have documented it better. You would have addressed it initially. You wouldn't wait until you finally have to admit, because of public pushback, that the first reason you made up to fire him didn't work. And now, oh, look, you've got all these backup reasons. Like, he spoke publicly to expose your corruption. Lol, as Richard would say, lol. And, so I can see through this. It's plain as day. I haven't done a substance abuse assessment on Dr. DeGray because I am promoting his work. And so I would have a conflict of interest. Right? But and I'm retired from that line of work. But I was an accredited substance abuse professional for 7 years. Saw the most difficult cases in my part of the world, and really enjoyed the work. It was super meaningful to me. The board is not acting in good faith here. And if we start to imagine really like the details of this, the parts that they didn't highlight might come out and further discredit the board. When it says here that Aubrey will, he'll have to consent. Let me put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if it came out that the board tried to influence financially and otherwise, like the outcome of the substance abuse assessment. That's the kind of crooked people that we're dealing with. So, if I was on that board of directors, I would be freaking out right now, and I would start asking the tough questions of the other, people who are behind this, because, one of them has already ran away, Jim O'Neill, the ousted CEO that started this whole thing. But, there are enough people still on that board that they need to do the right thing and step down. They need to be asking how the foundation and the board that they're a part of, how it has interfered with the investigation into Dr. DeGray's alleged, I'm not even gonna say into his wellness, and you falsely accuse somebody of a sexual misconduct, and it turns out you lied, and that you misled people and lied to people, including the person who brought the complaint forward, who that person has publicly stated that Jim O'Neill lied in order to get their testimony, to mislead them into thinking that there were more victims when there weren't, because he was upset about being fired, about his poor performance reviews and whatever other motives he and the board of directors have that we will discover. So that doesn't work. And now you think you have the credibility to bring forward allegations of addiction? Think again. Totally out of line. Super embarrassing, immoral, corrupt, illegal, tortious. Let's get the legal dictionary out and let the lawyers decide all the ways you're going to get sued, all the ways you're going to lose in the court of public opinion, all the ways that we're going to expose you and, bring more light and honesty to the situation. I said it before, I'll say it again. People who are doing bad things do not like the spotlight to be brought on them. And they are not used to dealing with people in the Hex community who are retired multimillionaires, thousands of us, ready to defend the billions of years of human lives that are meant to be saved through our $27 million donation to Aubrey's cause, not the corrupt board of directors, not and not this group of crooks. Okay, again, please don't threaten violence. I will not stand for that. This is your warning, and then you'll be banned. Pulse Lord, hey, what's going on? Pulse Lord has made 2 super good rap songs about shows that are on this channel, and I can't wait to debut them. Shout out to you, super talented musical artist that also has a super good heart. It's way beyond improper administrative procedure, and the members of the board, they are acting really poorly, and in a lot of cases, if we have to advertise that and if we have to broadcast it and bring more truth to this situation, that's the right thing to do, in my opinion. I think we'll have our people on the board as early as next week. I think the board is going to figure out what they've done, and they are going to step down. Yeah, they have no idea. Yeah. Oh yeah, and you'll see my awesome tweets where I said that I can give them I can give them the board of directors drug test if that's going to be so helpful. I am willing to fly out to California and do that as early as tomorrow. Yeah, so he signed this, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, and it doesn't mean you go after him or fire him because he points out that the board of directors was corrupt and wrong. That he points out that they got it wrong, and you're saying you're firing him after you've lost all your credibility by making false allegations, by lying. This is why, this is wild. This is, Oh, by the way, we have a, the Hex community has a Netflix style documentary crew, following us around. Do you want that heat? This is a serious crime against humanity that has been caused, but it's been perpetrated by the entire board of directors. And that's why I want to go through who these people are, so that we can have on the public record, what exactly is wrong and what needs to be changed. We need to change all these people who are listed on the board of directors. Okay, so we're going to go through these guys. We're going to see if there's anything that stands out in their profile. And, then we'll come back to them in the future if they haven't resigned and see what's going on. The funds have not been spent yet. Phil said they fired him for speaking out against the slander against him. These people do not pass the sniff test. How does it feel to be a millionaire? Not how you'd expect. There's some streams about sudden wealth syndrome that are on this channel. In general, I think, though, the way to become wealthy is to delay gratification and to get lucky investing in things that make sense, like Hex. That's what I did. Then the way to cope with that wealth and maintain it is, to do things that are worthwhile, that are meaningful in your life, like what I'm doing right now, which is exposing the corrupt Sens board and doing my small part or a big part, whatever it takes to get these $27.5 million back in the control of Aubrey de Grey, to get the Sens Foundation back in control of Aubrey de Grey, and to be, a voice of truth in the space. So the funds have not already been pilfered, but they have not been deployed the way that they need to be. Also, another thing that you'll do to become a millionaire is to take good care of yourself. And so taking omega-369 is a big way that I've taken care of myself, and that unlocked my ability. It's like a $5 a month thing that you can get at the grocery store, omega-369. And then that allowed my brain to heal in between 1 and 4 weeks. I noticed it at 4 weeks. And then hundreds of my clients have also had that experience where they were thinking more clearly, they were making healthier choices, and then they were unlocking all the other behavior change that they need in their life. So for me, that other behavior change was then being able to control my weight and lose 40 pounds, learning to love exercise instead of hating it, sleeping better, and working harder. Those were all things that were unlocked because I took omega-369. So there's a link in the description below. I think I get 27 cents if you use my referral link, but please don't use my referral link and just get it at your local Walmart or grocery store. It's not supposed to decrease your appetite, but it will. There's all types of confounds when we look at different things, but hey, if your appetite was, a problem and now it's not, that's cool. And no matter what it is, you're going to need your prefrontal cortex working for you. At day 4, you're probably not going to notice it yet, but maybe in another 4 days, it'll, it's, you're myelinating the axons in your prefrontal cortex. The science, it's neurophysiology and everything, the clinical effects, it's all been documented. That's why 15% of the US population takes omega-3 supplements. Shout out to you, man. Congratulations on taking the step to be in control of your mental health and to become the best version of yourself possible. I didn't have any, necessarily disorders to speak of, I thought I was functioning well, having gone through grad school, and then I started taking omega-3, and it took me to the next level. And so you don't have to have any kind of deficit for it to work. So Michael Butcher, he's the founder and head of the investment strategy at Sage Technologies. And so, yeah, so this guy is corrupt as far as I'm concerned. Jonathan Cain is the co-founder of the 20 Under 20 Thiel Fellowship. He serves as a principal at Thiel Capital. Okay, well, I don't think Peter Thiel wants, really a 0-to-1, like, truth coming out about his associates and how corrupt they are. Jonathan Cain needs to step down, but before being investigated further and having more attention drawn to his immoral acts while a part of the Sense Foundation. Kevin DeWalt, 30 years of experience as an entrepreneur. He is currently the founder and CEO of Proligo, a specialist AI startup, which helps Fortune 500 companies generate billion-dollar revenue opportunities. Wow, that sounds really cool. But again, somebody who probably doesn't want the negative press that's going to go with, that's going to go along with the egregious acts that have happened during his time on the board of directors for the Sense Foundation. Michael Cope. This is somebody who has a history with the University of Michigan, Intellectual Property Council, corporate development for Viron and this other company, different startups in the biotechnology space. So again, all these people, they're going to probably be held accountable in the court of public opinion. And we'll keep following up on who's doing the right thing by resigning and who is waiting for more negative press to come out about them. So Bill Lau is the secretary and somebody who is a co-founder of a social networking service and a CEO of FinAxis AG, privately held company in the financial space. Okay, so another person who is involved in politics, special interest groups, and is wanting to, be known for the corruption that occurred while he was on the board of directors at the Sense Foundation. Barbara Logan, chair, and has worked with publishing books and is chosen to focus her efforts. However, those efforts were, not focused enough to protect, all of the, this is somebody who is, again, who's acting in a way that is egregious and somebody who, needs to resign. Kevin Perrott, okay. PhD, co-founder in OISIN Biotechnologies. Yeah, so it's no wonder that it's a bunch of biotech startup people who are plugged in with billionaires like Peter Thiel and who else? Who knows who else in Silicon Valley that are now perpetrating the $27 million that we put towards Aubrey's causes and engage. They're participating in corporate espionage and immoral acts that are going to cost billions of human years of lives saved by the type of long-term stuff that Aubrey wants to work on. You know, the 4 billionaires that have their show, the ALLin podcast, which has been going about a week longer than my podcasts have been going. And no affiliation there, although we both, they chose my middle name, ALLin, as, as the name for their show. It's Chamath Palihapitiya, former Facebook executive turned venture capitalist, David Sachs, David Friedberg, and the ringleader himself, Jason Calacanis, and they let it slip a couple weeks ago that they're working on life extension stuff. Right before Aubrey gets fired for another bogus claim. It's pretty clear once they start running their mouths. I mean, they're so interconnected with everybody. It becomes more and more clear when we start to dig into people's social and professional connections to understand who's up to no good and to expose them. There are all these financial incentives for people to hold back people like Aubrey, and it's not going to work this time. Frank Schuler, founded the venture capital business Kazoo. Involved with a lot of different startups. So another person who needs to resign and deal with the consequences that they have created by setting the longevity space back, by holding up for 9 months the deployment of Hexaking Capital. And then the board has the nerve to post on crypto Twitter trying to defend themselves, but in fact making themselves look even more guilty. So we're going to take a look at that next. And if anybody wants to share this stream out, we really need to bring more attention to the issue. And also, I'll be promoting the hell out of doing the right thing and, bringing more truth and light to the matter. Here we've got some Twitter exchanges. This is the good stuff. All right. So Sen's Foundation, which is at Sen's tweet, they posted this. Here's the link to Aubrey's firing letter. And so what did I post here? Oh yeah, they didn't get very many likes on this. No wonder, probably because they're corrupt and doing the wrong thing and everybody knows it. And the more people learn about it, the more it becomes super apparent that the board is acting in bad faith. So I made a thread here and I said, I believe that longevity is a human right that is now threatened by the corrupt Sens board, which is why I support Hexaking's routing donations directly to Aubrey de Grey or via the Methuselah Foundation until Aubrey gets his foundation and our $27 million back. 84 people liked it. 13 people retweeted. It's been 24 hours. So I went on to say, and as a certified substance abuse professional myself, I can certainly see through the bullshit reasons cited for Aubrey's dismissal. It is, in fact, the board that brought the drama on the foundation and violated donor intent. As to the motives for this corporate espionage, wow, lots. Can you believe that many people clicked and read through and hit the like button? A lot of people care about this. We live in a world where short-term thinkers profit most. Hex and Richard Hart and our community will support Aubrey de Grey and make the world a better place by funding long-term anti-aging tech for all. Bet. Well said, Maddie. All right, let's see what else. Aubrey will have to go full Steve Jobs to get back control of his baby. The fight has just begun, said Pepe here. And then the Sens Foundation wrote back, the only fight here is Aubrey de Grey fight against not getting a substance abuse evaluation. The board needs to look into that and understand all of the rumors and the truth behind what people are saying about that, because it's bad enough that they falsely accused the man of sexual impropriety, sexual misconduct. That's bad enough. And now they're trying to not give the full story publicly. That is another egregious act. I mean, it's just one after the other. And, you're really building our moral imperative to expose you when you do things like this, when you don't give the full story, and you lead people to believe something that's not true, when you lead people to believe that Dr. de Grey was not willing to do a fair substance abuse evaluation. Ooh. This tweet right here is going to get some people into a lot of trouble. This one right here. So let's I've already documented all this. I've got a special software that I can stitch together all this stuff and make it look really pretty for the judge to read. I got experience dealing with this exact thing, substance abuse, legal cases. So they go on to lie. Oh, as simple as that. Oh my gosh. They're doubling down on not giving the full story here. And they didn't, it's no excuse that they didn't have enough characters to say the truth. Like that doesn't fly. His fight against not getting an SAP evaluation in order to be reinstated, I believe that we'll find that to be materially false, and that the corrupt board interfered with the ability to have a fair substance abuse evaluation. This is wild. I'm reporting like this is really happening. All the board members need to wake up, and they need to resign now at a minimum. There's no stealing, no corruption. What do you call it? You don't call it stealing when you take $27 million and use it for things that that the donors have been clear. Like donor intent, that's a legal construct. So it doesn't matter if the legal system calls it stealing, the court of public opinion calls it stealing. And you're not going to get off on some technicality on Twitter. Twitter it's not made by lawyers. It's not, this isn't the space for the judge to read things. So the fact that you're saying that there's no stealing is, that's a mischaracterization to the public. And that's the type of moral failure that we see, it's a thread, right? In not just on Twitter, but in the board's behavior, is that they are, they're using misdirection. They're using lies that are known to be lies. They orchestrated the sexual allegations when those were found to be false. Then they started lying about and using their premeditated plan to have another reason to scrolling through reasons to get rid of Aubrey when all of their credibility has already failed. So there's no stealing. That's maybe that's your legal case that there's no stealing. But where I'm from, if you take a $27.5 million and you don't use it for what it was intended for, that is stealing. You're literally stealing years of human lives that will be saved by advances in medical technology. Like, it is a fact that the more medical research that's done, the more breakthroughs we have, and the longer people live. That's a fact. The board, in its corruption, not deploying the funds based on Aubrey's intentions and based on donor intentions for 9 months, is stealing years of human lives. I'm sorry. I replied at the time, I think the corrupt Sons tweet board has helped. Oh, wait. Here, we have to read the, so there's no stealing, no corruption. That's not true. Just a group of concerned and exhausted people, board and staff, trying to help him. Wow. So now we're not only lying, but we're condescending. I see. You know what? And I just saw somebody like this thread here. I'm gonna share this in the chat so that people, if you want to pump up these numbers, then you could just hop on this thread here. I'm gonna spend the rest of the show here going through all the slam dunks that I made on Twitter. And if you guys want to help pump those numbers up while we're doing it, I'm going to read everything out loud for the people who are just listening without watching the screen. So Phil Hammer said, the board is so screwed, LOL. And you know, some people are saying they're glad they didn't give to the Sons. I mean, I'm glad that I gave $10,000 via the Pulse sacrifice, and because we will get that $27 million back, and it will be used to extend human life and health span. That's not a problem. It's just I want progress to be made now. I don't want to lose any more time. I don't want more time to be stolen from the world. Somebody is willing to like put in money for like a legal fight, and I don't know that we're going to be raising money for that, but stay tuned and we'll keep that in mind. Personally, I want to fund progress in research and let I think there's already plenty of legal teams, but that being said, I want everybody's contribution, whatever it can be, to be included. And I commend you so much for being willing to fundraise for that. We need all the help we can get. And thank you so much, Davis, and to everybody out there who's wanting to make a difference. So this, and you click on it, and then you can click into all the subtweets. You can go up to this tweet, which is the main one that they announced, and then go into all the subthreads and see all the answers that I've given, and hit the like button on any of the ones you think were good arguments or good things said. I'll drop the link to like the greater thread here as well. Okay. Yeah. So they're now we got to the point where they're condescending him and saying that they're just trying to help him, by lying and doing all these things. So I said, I think the corrupt Sens tweet board has, quote unquote, helped Aubrey de Grey enough. Now, Hexikins that gave 85% of the funding that this organization has, that the Hexikins can help the board resign or be just as scrutinized. For example, as a retired substance abuse provider myself, I would be willing to fly out as early as tomorrow and drug test the entire board. I want to help them, right? They've helped Aubrey enough. It's time for us to help them. And then this is funny. Love in Hex said, excellent idea. I want to help the board too. There we go. So let's see, what else do we have here? I mean, the board is like trying to respond to all these things. Now we do have, I'm aware that Greg is somebody who's also a concerned longevity donor and wanting to bring attention to this. So we're all like, there's lots of people working together. I can, Aubrey confirmed that this account is one that supports him and that he supports. And so you can follow concerned donors on Twitter. And then, this hexagon right here, EMT to RN to MD, said, I didn't donate over $500,000 for your quote unquote team members. I donated the money to Aubrey to continue the longevity research as he saw fit. If you have any integrity, place that 27 million that we hexagons donated in escrow and give it to Aubrey's next foundation. Now we know that Aubrey is not abandoning the Sense Foundation. He will be taking it back. So, but the people like this who donated over $500,000 and are speaking out publicly, that should tell the board something, right? The $10 million donor, $500,000 donor, and the longer this goes on, like the more enemies they're creating, basically. So also an email concernedlongevitydonors@gmail.com to join the effort. Aubrey confirmed that @concerned donors is legitimate. Joe Hexotic making a funny comment. Julia says, so you took money from Aubrey's inheritance and then fired him? Disgusting and unprofessional. The 27 million donated you received will likely be the last one from the Pulse Chain community. And that's what I'm working towards, is to help continue the donations, but to make sure that they fall into the right hands. Some dude says, I used to believe in Sense Foundation, but not after this. And remember, a lot of the people with funny names on Twitter here in the Hex space, a lot of them are multimillionaires. So don't don't get it twisted. I'm not sure if some dude is, but it seems like a familiar name from past couple of years. I used to believe in Sense Foundation, but not after this. You would have had a substantial yearly donation from me if Aubrey was still at the helm. Now you certainly won't. Reinstate Aubrey or refund the donations. If not, it looks like you're in for a legal battle. Okay, and then the board is responding here, the foundation, whatever, doubling down on that false point, about Aubrey not wanting to get a fair evaluation about his substance abuse, and just further demonstrating that they're willing to scroll through every corporate tactic to get rid of somebody while already having lost all their credibility by bringing up false sexual misconduct allegations. Yeah, Ash makes an awesome point. The donation is from a savvy group of crypto enthusiasts and not a legacy group that don't even have social media. They don't know what's coming and they're not prepared for, and I agree, they're not prepared for the social media backlash that is coming. The board probably thought it would be easy to remove him and steal the money. They didn't they didn't look up the Heart Army. That's right. I love this comment by the hexiest man in the world. Thanks for the $10 super chat. And he says, oh, and by the way, I met you at the Hex conferences. Shout out to you. Thanks for coming on stage. I'm an interventionist and have a big team of sober comparisons. Happy to join you to meet the board. We can even make it a surprise visit and then get them to necessary treatment center that they may need. That's right. Yeah. To every legal extent possible, we will dig into this board of directors. We will give them, the same, the way that they've bullied Aubrey, while on one hand it's morally reprehensible, on the other hand, more than one person can play at that game. And, that's what it's coming to, is your social reputation is about to find an all-time low. You thought crypto was in the bear market. Wait until you see the board of directors in their, in the market of public opinion, they are, about to meet the same fate as a shitcoin. It's about to be a bear market for the approval ratings over at the Sens board of directors, right? Hilarious. Yeah, they can't even keep their story straight about what the issue is, what the concern is. More reading between the lines, super obvious to anybody in the public that this is a corrupt, ineffective board that needs to resign. It's just, this is a social media nightmare for these people. It's just begun and it's not going to be over anytime soon. Gennady says, I am deeply disappointed at the board having taken the most adversarial, non-constructive approach possible, despite many donors urging for months for Aubrey de Grey to be reinstated and endeavoring to find mutually beneficial ways to do so. The donors and community support Aubrey. I believe this is somebody who's from outside the Hex community, but definitely somebody who is influential and is speaking out. Here's the more detailed statement that Gennady made. I'm deeply disappointed at the Sens Research Foundation board for having taken the most adversarial, non-constructive approach possible in refiring Dr. Aubrey de Grey, despite many donors urging for months for Aubrey to be reinstated. He goes on to say, after Aubrey's presentation at the Hex conference, where he called upon the board to respect its fiduciary obligation to the donors, the worst possible move was to fire him after his expression of constructive criticism about how the foundation that he founded and that was supposed to be based on his vision was being managed by the board. The board had many possible ways in which it could have responded to this criticism. It chose the one most guaranteed to alienate donors like myself. The donors and community support Aubrey de Grey. I would never have contributed to the Sens Research Foundation this year or during most of the past decade had I known that this board would so thoroughly mistreat Aubrey de Grey and repeatedly, through its public statements, inflict completely unjustified damage on his reputation. Despite the previous missteps by the board, I was willing to give the Sens Research Foundation another chance as I saw attempts to re-engage with Aubrey in December 2021. I was willing to allow my previously donated funds to continue to be used to support the activities in hopes that its board members did indeed have good intentions for Aubrey's reintegration sooner rather than later. Now these hopes are unfortunately dashed. I will at least seek for my cumulative previously donated funds to be returned to me so that I could redirect them to any future foundation created by Aubrey or donate them to another longevity-oriented organization. The only way this intention will change will be if the majority of the current SENS Research Foundation board members, i.e. everyone who voted for Aubrey's refiring, resign and Aubrey de Grey is reinstated at SENS fully. If you are a previous donor who would like to join our growing effort to express our disapproval of the board's egregious and unfounded actions, please fill out this brief form. I filled out the form myself. You can go to bit.ly/SRF donors. I'll put the link in the chat here. What's up, Dingo Wolf? Looking good, Maddie. Thank you. Davis with the $5 super chat. I put 500 USDC into the extensive background checks we started on them. Yo, respect. You know, and that's the kind of thing that happens when board members try to steal $27 million and billions of years of human lives that could be saved. My opinion, morally, you deserve a background check in that situation, because we need to uncover all of the financial and other conflicts of interest that you have that you did not disclose, because we don't get people acting this badly without major dirt to uncover. That would be my prediction, is that there is so much corruption that we can expose by following these board members who think that they're going to get away with this, who are not resigning today and tomorrow. Yeah, let's do the background checks, Davis. Let's do it. It's probably our right, I would imagine. So I posted the link here. Hexiest man in the world. As a material donor to them, I'm shocked they would release any private agreement in a misleading way, yet refuse to disclose the full story. Wasn't transparency the word they used? We'd like a refund. Yeah, we'd like a change in leadership effective immediately. Thank you for making those points. Phil says, time to start digging. Yeah. If I was on that board, I would peace out. And then the $500,000 donor said, I will save my future longevity research donations for Aubrey's next research foundation. Next time, Aubrey, pick better board members. Respect. Hexadecimal said, this is one of the biggest mistakes since Apple fired Steve Jobs. Does Tim Cook want to weigh in and give the board some advice here? Genius are sometimes difficult. Would you fire an autist for being an autist? This is borderline discrimination against him for being a mad genius. Lights Out said, you guys stole our donations. We donated the $27 million because we believed in SENS under Aubrey's leadership. I'm done donating to SENS. David Feeder said, see you in court. He's a great guy. NFT said, they have no idea the size of the Hexagon war chest. All bears must die. Screen name said, your timing is incredibly suspicious. 27 million. It's time to execute Operation Aubrey de Gone. Yeah, that's what they said. And then they're still posting, trying to incriminate themselves further. Look, 40 minutes ago. Give our community the money back, you unscrupulous thieves. Yeah, I'm hitting the like button on a lot of this stuff because I want these people who are coming forward and holding the board accountable. I want them to know that we're all working together. We're all supporting each other. David, yo, what is up? Shout out to you. Thank you for helping to be a leader in the Hex community and someone who cares about the Sens Foundation enough to help us get it back for Aubrey and help Aubrey get it back and whatever we can do, you know. As the Hex community who you know, who gave 27 million, which is 85% of the Sens budget. Yeah, you know, I think we should keep these people accountable. Okay, so they're copy and pasting this, like, he was given a clear path to be fully reinstated. Lol, you know, like, rewind this video and you know, you'll see that the response to that is stop scrolling through reasons to fire somebody that are so premeditated. It makes you look way worse than you did before, which was already really bad. Yeah. Here, look at this. Hexiest man in the world appears to be somebody who has had to hire and fire hundreds of people, including some CEOs, which he's saying using this standard substance abuse clause in every employment agreement is a dirty old trick that has existed for a long time. We're not talking about the, you know, we're not talking about the timing of anything else other than the fact that this was premeditated, right? You had him sign this agreement months ago, I think. Whenever, here, I'll click to the other tab. When was this signed? December 2021. Yeah. Yeah, here, I said, your credibility ceased upon stealing 27 million from Hexicans. The corrupt Sens Tweet board has such poor judgment that we can't believe any of their lies, including this misdirection and their false assessment of Aubrey de Grey. And this misdirection refers to the substance abuse allegation. Let's just downvote all their posts and replies. Exactly. There's a new downvote button here. Warped Impulse, what's going on? Yeah, we donated. That's right. I've seen it done by people who had smoked a joint with the CEO mere days before the termination. Just an easy way to get rid of someone. Yeah. And they would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you pesky Hexicans. Yeah, we're gonna Scooby-Doo them. That's right. Betty White agrees. Yeah. So they're, I love how they're like drawing so much attention to this agreement because, again, put together the facts publicly and you see through the lies that this was a dirty trick that they're not going to get away with. And, you know, it really sets a precedent for us to demand as the 85% donors, you know, that the board members be brought under the same scrutiny. What's going on, Dr. Moray? People coming late to the stream want to know what the situation is. Well, Aubrey was cleared by an external investigator of the false sexual misconduct claims that were made against him that were, in my opinion, minor in the first place. 8 to 10 years ago, he made 2 inappropriate comments, allegedly. And so once he was cleared from that, then the corrupt Sens board of directors, which had been corrupted by Jim O'Neill, the ousted CEO, they had prepared a trap for Aubrey that they started in December, where they had this contract that said that they could fire him if he spoke publicly about their corruption or about anything, brought any light to the situation, brought any truth to the public, which that's an indemnification of their, of them right there. That was their second mistake. Their third mistake was publicly, implying that he might have a substance abuse problem when they were the ones interfering with a fair substance abuse evaluation. And then they fired him yesterday from the foundation that he started, after we gave $27 million for him to decide how to use. It's, which of the smoking guns, do we want to make a big deal out of? Probably all of them. Of all these board members, if they don't resign today or tomorrow, they will continue to be tried in the court of public opinion. Disgusting. That's right. Hexagade. That's passive aggressive posting the agreement in the way you did. You can be assured that a well-funded court case is coming. You cannot win. Yeah, and they're defending themselves. Oh, before we were too transparent, now we're not transparent enough. Yeah, right. No, like, just tell the truth and you don't have to worry about being a liar, being exposed. Everybody's disgusted, shocked. Yeah, look at all these comments. Yeah, they're just repeating the same lies, exposing themselves. Yeah. So, I mean, I've put a lot of time into understanding what's going on here, and that's just the beginning of my involvement. I will see this through. You have my word as a Hex broadcaster, somebody who is blessed to be in a position that I am, where I can put in the time to to speak truth to power. It's latest misdirection. Yep. Yeah. As a substance abuse provider myself for 7 years, like specializing in court ordered cases, it's so easy to see through this. It's like, it's really shocking, but it's not. It's like, this is the world that we live in, where people are trying to get away with stuff, and now there's like a new class of people that's willing to stand up for people. It's called the Hexicans. Do your business in the light, in shining the light on the Sense Foundation. Yeah, his disclosure could have been protected by whistleblower laws. Don't expose yourself in public. Thanks, Maddie. Misdirecting funds is no small issue, especially 27 million. Peel back the onion layer by layer. Yeah, I know a lot of people who want to know what's going on here and how we're going to correct this situation. The board members who are now going to be under public scrutiny, need to resign and give Aubrey his foundation back so that the $27 million can be used, you will be held accountable. And welcome to the party. What other questions do people have before we sign off for today? We need to start background checks starting now. There you go. Maddie, you missed my last super chat. Sorry about that. Let me get up there. Oh, get a Venmo background check account going, and I'll throw 500 in tonight. More when needed. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the best way to organize this. I would say, go ahead and email concerns@longevitydonors@gmail.com and DM me on Twitter. And that way we can team up, and if anybody wants to be like in charge, if anybody has experience getting background checks done on high profile people or medium profile people or low life people, then that would be really awesome. Thank you, Davis, for like being willing to fund this. And yeah, so extremely extensive background checks like Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. There you go. Align the Light says, great work, Maddie. Thank you. Bristology in the house. What's going on? My thoughts on Chamath Palihapitiya. He doesn't know enough about crypto, but he knows a lot about macroeconomics. He has like a team of researchers. He's a billionaire, and self-made billionaire, I think. He's got a crack team of people behind him. So he really shows up to his weekly show and spits a lot of facts and knowledge. I think that podcast does like a good job compared to the legacy media. No problem, Bristology. You're going to want to make sure to rewind this episode because it is full of juicy stuff about the Sens board being corrupt and what we're going to do about it. He's a grifter. He lies to his investors. He's going to be sued by the SEC sooner or later. Oh, really? Chamath? I mean, we live in a corrupted financial system. So you would expect most of the major players in that system to be corrupted or corruptible because they're just humans. So when we hopefully switch to a better system, right, like Hex, where, I mean, Hex is doing just like, we don't need more adoption for Hex to be doing any better with like creating people such as myself and such as you in the audience here at like, making the world a better place and fighting for things that matter. Like, I'm inspired by this audience, by everybody I met at the Hex conference, by Richard Hart, by Aubrey de Grey, by all the supporters, right, that know what's up. This is our chance to make something right, that we had a hand in, which is saving billions of years of human lives that can be extended and saved. So yeah, if there's anybody out here watching, because we usually have 2,000 or 3,000 people watching on the replay, if anybody is an expert in background checks, message me on Twitter, like put like the first 3 words of the message, like, I know about background checks or something. So like in the preview of the message, because I get like hundreds of messages. So if you can just put that like as the opening few words, then I'll see it in the preview and I'll be able to prioritize that. Yeah. I bet we have people out there that are like super good at this. Maybe they would even do it for free or would know, how to get this done. We would bet you just a little bit to make sure you're not going to run away with the $500. But we have a awesomely talented audience here. So. Is Hex pumping? Is Hex up like 10 or 20% today? That is awesome. Yeah, Hex is up to 13.8 cents, which is double or triple how much it was when we did the Pulse chain sacrifice to Sense Foundation about 9 months ago. And for the day, Hex is up about 15%. I think we did. I think it's super evident in like how the information was disseminated of like where to send the money and everything like that, everything that Richard said publicly. I think it's super clear what everybody was putting their money towards. And I think that'll come out legally. It'll come out it's already out there in the public. Like anybody can go and look the public record, and I'll help make that more accessible to people. So, because we need the board to understand what they did wrong and to resign immediately, because that's how we start correcting this egregious act where they're stealing billions of years of human lives that could be saved by the technology that we intended to fund, that they've just stopped progress. For false claims. They were shown to be false, and now they're bringing more false claims. Like, that's it. Yes, awesome. Here, I knew Hexicans would be like super well connected. He said, I have a guy. Let me see what his workload looks like. That's how you know your guy's good, when he's got when it's hard to get in with him. He's who did all the due diligence on the CEOs we chose to run our portfolio companies. Top notch, not cheap, but worth it. Awesome. If you're somebody out there that wants to help fund, because I've met Hexiest Man in the World. You saw him on the 4th day of the Hex conference asking a question to Richard Hart. It's like, because this is somebody known in our community, if you want to donate a little bit, if you want to be in the inner discussions about how much this is going to cost to do, a world-class background check on these board members to find out, what they're hiding, what their conflict of interests are. We don't have to go off of the outdated forms that they filled out themselves for the 501c3. We can find out the information ourselves, I believe. Lawsuit. And again, like trying people in the court of public opinion now, that is what a lot of board members would need in order to resign now, so that we can not have to waste more billions of years of human lives with a court case that's drug out for a year. We should be able to settle this at the social layer without using violence, just using the same tactics that they're using. Very simple, because I think we're better equipped to play the game that they're trying to play. We raised $14K to help a fellow Hexican. I offered the 500 to get the ball rolling. We should start a fund where I'm sure many will contribute. It may get the board to back off. I think so too. I think it's really well said. Crypto BD says, nicely said. I don't know if you're talking about me or somebody in the comments, but thanks to everybody. Davis DM'd me on Twitter. Thank you. Wow, Jimmy Benjamin, I'll put in 1,000 to start. Look at this. Yeah, exactly. How many on the board? There are 8 people on the board. Yeah. So look at that. A few minutes of just talking about it. there's already $1,500 being thrown at background checks for the board of directors, and we're gonna find out why they are lying about Aubrey, why they are wasting the resources of time that we've given them. You know, if they would have told us that they were going to hold up our funds, here, I'll do a little bit of math, just a little bit, right? So if the board of directors had been honest with us up front and said, we are going to fire the founder, no matter what it takes and how many lies we have to tell, and we're going to take your $27.5 million and we're going to sit on it so that no scientific innovation can happen. You know, if we had held on to that money for an extra, let's say year, let's say that this doesn't take years in court, but this takes 3 more months to really get the money flowing. Let's say for ease of calculation that it's a year. So Hex is paying like 12% interest a year. So if we had left the money in Hex, that would have been another $3.5 million. So now we're up to $30.8 million, and then the price of Hex has like done a 2.5x since then. So they're screwing around with like $77 million worth of, worth of the funds that we donated. So if you really shouldn't think about your donations as like what they would be worth now, but in this case, we're doing the thought experiment to show how valuable our time is, and it's even more valuable the billions of people who want to live longer in the world. And so is there a priority list of who we would like to know first? Yes, probably the. We could talk about that more privately, but all the board members should be aware that they could be held to the same scrutiny that they're putting Aubrey through, and the same reputational damage. This is why I'm a Hexican for life. Shout out to you. And hopefully that life will be extended once we get some of this stuff worked out. We would have started a fund to start a new foundation. Aubrey wants to take back the Sons Foundation. The $27 million is a lot of money. And it might be very inexpensive to put social pressure on the board to do the right thing. Yeah, we would have a lot more. Thanks, Jimmy, for pledging to put money towards this. Good point. The opportunity cost of those dollars is quite high, given how we know it would have been invested. Exactly. So, yeah, we're gonna have a way to route investment money that needs to be used for research to happen now. That's going to go through Methuselah Foundation. If it's a coin that isn't accepted by them because of Coinbase rules, I've set up Aubrey with his own wallet, so you can send him Hedron and Hex and anything like that. If you don't want the 501c3 like benefits, but most people, even though we have that option, most people are going to convert it to USDC themselves, send it to the special address that we set up for Aubrey at the Methuselah Foundation. And then that's going to be another reason for the board to realize that their plan has failed and to move research forward now so that we don't lose more opportunity cost, of the years of human lives saved. Billions of years. Yeah, all the board members need to be on notice. Exactly. But yeah, we do know which ones are maybe more likely to be corrupt. So thank you, everybody, for tuning into this 2-hour episode of Hex Therapy Live. I know that there are other awesome Hex streams out there for you today. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button here and let other Hexicans know about this stream. You can share it on Twitter and anywhere else where you would find it to be helpful. even if we get the views on this pumped up, that's going to send a message to the board. Every little thing that we can do to show our support for Aubrey, to fundraise, to get to the bottom of this corruption and to get answers to our questions. I really believe in this community and in our shared purpose and meaning in life now that we're working together. So I can't thank you enough for tuning in, for being a member of this broadcast and this community and this movement to extend human life, extend health span for all, not just for rich, corrupt people, and making the world a better place. So with that being said, I'll see everybody on Tuesday night for the most popular Game Theory Gang with David Feeder, K for K Crypto, and myself. We'll have the third episode of that show on Tuesday night here, 7:30 Central, 5:30 California time, and 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast. And then every Thursday night is Hex Therapy here. I'm going to the Bitcoin conference, so stay tuned for content about that. We'll have Aubrey on one of these shows, I'm sure, to give us a science update, to say anything he wants to say about all these matters. But we're thinking of him during this difficult time, and we're very pleased overall with how silly the board is being, firing him, and making it super clear how corrupt they are. So with that being said, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
It's from ALLin of HexTherapy.live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research. There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Now I'm going to make the thumbnail for Twitter, which is usually the last frame. So I'm going to hit that end button.